Hope so, is the short answer. It's very disheartening to see the students be put in such a pressurized situation that almost helps them to succeed by accident rather than intention.
This is Unlawful. The concept of time, more time is better than less time, obvious, right? The thesis I think that you're getting at is that it has to be individual and not aggregated, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the problem that I run into is whether it's LinkedIn or Above the Law or whatever social media, all I see are these lists and descriptions of how to be successful as a associate or a lawyer or a big firm partner or a big firm associate or a mid-level associate, or the difference between a litigation boutique and a big firm litigation section. And I look at them and I'm like, none of this is right because it's all aggregated. So it has to be right. It has to be wrong. And it has to be right. And what I firmly believe that the unique aspect of what used to be the hiring structure is that it provided the opportunity for not only time, but for individual consideration.
Absolutely.
And I think that, and like we said, I'm not naive enough to think that it's just that, because obviously people have grade requirements and resume requirements, and we don't hire from certain schools. All of that's aggregate. But once you got in the door, then it was individual.
Yes.
And then people could either separate themselves positively or negatively, or realize that they weren't where they wanted to be.
Exactly.
And look, the response I get from some law students is, well, I don't care, right? Because I can make it anywhere for 2 or 3 years, and then I don't want to be working anymore anyways. So what are the conversations that you're having with the law firms about this?
One of the conversations that I have been having is how to ensure that the people they get are going to be people who last a long time at the firm, which is really interesting given that the system right now is designed for students to make really significant decisions with limited information. So I also try to figure out, for me, what the firm is doing and what the culture is. And so at least that I can try and bridge a gap and bring it back to the team about what the firm is like. And so they can think about the students that they've been interacting with to see, oh, this could be a good culture for them. I also kind of split it like it's a bad situation. So how can I make it better for us? So I also try to find ways for our students to gain more information before they get to the application process. And so that is either by finding ways that they can engage with the firms and learn more about them, figure out who our alumni are in there and get those communications going between those people. And also trying to bring them on campus because they still need to have a campus presence, even if they're not recruiting directly on campus. Make sure that the students get an idea of who they are so that everybody's making better decisions up front.
On-campus recruiting has always had a branding aspect, for sure. I think that has become a more complicated thing as well.
Yes.
I was at Lock Lord. Lock Lord is a Texas firm founded in Texas, a merger of a Houston and Dallas firm originally. Now, obviously, with the merger, it's much bigger than that. But even then, at Texas law schools, you would have trouble with branding. And that's not than anything. That's evidence that there's just too much. Right. There's too much to know. Right. There's too much for these students to try to figure out. I've been practicing for 20 years. I still run into law firms every day that I've never heard of.
Oh, sure. We see them all the time.
Yeah. It becomes a really and very important ones. Right. Like I always make the joke to law students, right? Oh, hey, it's the most important law firm in the world. That means 0.01% of the people alive have heard of it. Like, who cares? Right. How is that going to impact your everyday? Right. The point that you made, Chandria, about getting the firms to the schools, right? Despite the fact that there's not this intense OCI process where all the firms are there on the same day and there's 20 rooms operating and there's students everywhere, right? Is a really interesting one because I think more than anything, it creates an opportunity for the schools to do exactly what you said, which is make sure that the schools understand the firms. Because now nobody else has the time, but now maybe the schools do. And I know I'm putting a lot of weight on your shoulders because neither the students nor the firms are doing it.
I hope so, is the short answer. It's very disheartening to see the students be put in such a pressurized situation that almost helps them to succeed by accident rather than intention. And I don't like being in that stance. We're in a stance of reacting, of mitigating the damage of the system that has evolved. And what we're finding is keeping the lines of communication open as much as possible has been very effective for us, in as much as, at the very least, as we're all in the hurricane, there are times when the eye comes around and we have just a little bit of calm and we can take the time to think and just look around and absorb the information. We're trying to maximize those pockets of time for our students. We're trying to ensure that they understand the nature of what this new landscape is, why it's like that, and then what they need to do to make sure they still get what they need along the process. And we're also communicating with the firms as much as possible, as much as we possibly can, to ensure that if where there is any wiggle room for students to have a bit more time, whereas where they are these opportunities where firms haven't completely needed to go all the way to the left with what everyone else is doing, they give us some of those grace periods so that our students can have the breathing room that they need.
I am you said disheartened. I'm very heartened by the fact that the students are getting advocates like you and your team. And I don't think, while I'm confident that you are uniquely skilled at your job, I'm hopeful that you are not uniquely skilled at your aim and target amongst law schools. And I know I'm putting a lot of weight on the law school's shoulders, but they're the only ones who I think can do it, right? And I would encourage, because the students are going to go in and out of their careers. Law firms are going to be successful or less successful. I think that the law schools will always be there.
Yeah,
I would encourage you, to the extent that you think it's possible, obviously continue benefiting your students, but push back on everybody, right?
Certainly.
Push on the students, push on the firms, tell them that what they're doing isn't the most beneficial, right? Use that data that you're collecting, because I work at a law firm and I'm sure we do some of the things that I don't like, right? Because we are in lockstep with the market in some ways.
Sure.
And there's a certain amount of that I think every lawyer I run into is like, I don't like this.
Absolutely. No one likes it.
And it doesn't really matter what law firm they're at. They're viewed as the law firm who are, and I continue to think, and I know maybe this is giving you too much weight or maybe it's too much power, but I do think that the law schools can continue to impact that and push in all directions.
Yes, we certainly have tried, and we make as an ongoing practice to advise utilizing our policies and procedures, guidance to how we think the recruiting process should go. And we keep track of our communications with the firms that we are in regular contact with to ensure they understand what's a better landscape for the students, what we hope to accomplish for our students. It's interesting, we primarily interact with the recruiting teams for most of the firms. So it's a very kind of close-knit community. Everybody knows everybody. Certainly when we talk to recruiters, they're functioning along the same lines that we are. And so we not only talk to the teams that we're in the most contact with, but even on the administrative level, Dean Leonard Baines, the dean of our law school at the Law Center, he's got a full understanding. He stays up to date on what's going on in the market. He encourages firms to fully consider candidates in a way that kind of runs afoul of the mad dash that we're seeing now. And so we all try to do it on our levels with the students, with the employers, and with the real decision makers.
I work at U of H. I wouldn't work there if I didn't believe in it. I work at Mayor Brown. I wouldn't work here if I didn't believe in it. And at this point, I was thinking about this yesterday. I have met and taught almost a generation of students at U of H. And I'm continuously impressed by the students and by the faculty and by the staff and by the people who are trying to row in the right direction. And I think that most law schools are probably there. I think that's the best way to benefit the marketplace. And I really appreciate all the work that you guys are doing and continue doing. And I'm on campus every Thursday for 5 or 6 hours. So hopefully I get to meet you this fall.
Absolutely. We'd love that.
Thank you so much for taking your time, but that's unlawful.